Okay, so I have a question for you. I want you to picture this. You're in a grocery store. You're just standing there trying to decide between, I don't know, almond granola and honey oat granola, minding your own business. And then someone comes barreling down the aisle with their cart and bumps right into you.
Oh, I know exactly where this is going.
Do you immediately turn around and say, "Oh, I'm sorry"?
The classic sorry reflex.
Exactly. You apologize for just being there when they hit you.
It happens before your brain even catches up. It's just, it's automatic. It's like a knee-jerk reaction, but instead of a kick, it's an apology.
Well, if that sounds familiar, or if you're the person who's always starting emails with "sorry to bother you," then this deep dive is for you. We've pulled together a bunch of articles, some linguistic research, workplace guides, from the New York Times to TEO Academy, and they all suggest we're in the middle of a kind of "I'm sorry" epidemic. And the consensus is this isn't just about being polite.
No, it's so much deeper than just manners. It's about, well, professional presence. The research we're looking at today argues that when we over-apologize, we aren't just being nice. We're actually signaling insecurity. We diminish our own status. And maybe the most dangerous part, we dilute the power of a real apology for when we actually, mess up.
There was this anecdote in one of the New York Times articles that's just painful. It really set the stage. It was about a woman who got stood up on a Bumble date. She's waiting, time's ticking by, and the guy finally texts her.
And what does he write?
He didn't even spell the word out.
Nope, SRY.
That just perfectly highlights the problem. Sorry,
Yeah.
It has become this throwaway word. It's filler, digital int. So our mission today is to upgrade your vocabulary. We want to move you from what the sources call a low-status apology mindset to a high-status communication style.
And we're going to tackle 3 very specific real-life arenas. First, how to interrupt someone effectively. Second, how to get a stranger's attention without, putting yourself down. And the big one, how to handle workplace mishaps without looking weak.
But before we get to the how, we have to understand the why. Why is sorry our default? Is it just a habit, or is there something deeper going on?
Well, it's a mix of habit and really cultural programming. There's a fascinating insight from TEO Academy in our packet. They describe sorry, especially in British English, as a kind of Swiss Army knife.
A Swiss Army knife. You mean it has a tool for everything?
Exactly. In a lot of English-speaking cultures, sorry can mean I'm confused or I disagree or even just I exist in your general area.
So when I say it, I might actually mean excuse me, but my brain is just hardwired to say sorry.
Right. And in linguistics, this is often called negative politeness. The idea is you're apologizing for the imposition of just being there. You're sorry for taking up space. In the UK, this is, standard. It's social lubrication. But here's the trap.
The trap is using that tool in the wrong context.
Precisely. In the US, and more in global business culture, sorry really carries the weight of guilt. It implies you made an error.
So if I use a Swiss Army knife, sorry, in a boardroom to mean I have a question, everyone else just hears I did something wrong.
That's the disconnect. And sources from Cascade Counseling and Refinery 29 point out that this creates a subconscious cycle of self-doubt. If you apologize for existing or for speaking up, you're telling your brain and everyone else that you're taking up space you don't really deserve. You're framing your contribution as a disturbance, not an addition.
That is a huge shift in perspective. It's not just words. It's the frame you put around yourself. So let's get practical.
Yeah.
I want to walk through these scenarios because that's where we all get stuck. Let's start with scenario A, the interruption.
A classic struggle.
You're in a meeting, someone is just monologuing, maybe they have their facts wrong or they're just rambling and you need to cut in. The knee-jerk reaction, I know I do this, is to go, sorry to interrupt, but...
And right there, you've labeled your own input as an interruption, a negative thing that needs to be forgiven.
But hold on, let me play devil's advocate here. I am interrupting. Isn't it rude not to acknowledge that? If I just jump in, don't I look like a jerk?
It feels that way, but think about the goal. You want to contribute, not take away. The sources gave us some really good alternatives. A method that stood out was the jump in.
How does that work?
So instead of apologizing, you ask for permission to contribute. You say something like, do you mind if I just jump in really quick? Or if I could just jump in.
Do you mind if I jump in? Huh. It's interesting. That changes the energy, doesn't it? Sounds more dynamic.
It's active. You're not stopping the conversation. You're joining it. Another one is the value add. You say, can I add my 2 cents? Or may I add something here? It shifts the frame from I'm stopping you to I am building on this.
That seems great for brainstorming. But what about a tougher situation? What if someone's presenting data that's just flat out wrong. You can't just say, can I add my 2 cents? Because you're not adding, you're correcting.
Right. That needs a slightly firmer approach. There was a specific technique called the flag.
The flag. Okay, how did that work?
You'd say, I hate to interrupt, but I need to flag some numbers here. Or, I need to flag a potential issue.
Flagging. I like that. It sounds professional. It sounds like you're looking out for the team, not just being difficult.
Exactly. You're identifying a hazard. It removes the personal conflict. It's not, you are wrong. It's, there's a flag on the play.
Now, you can't just shout, I'm flagging this over someone. The sources talk about the mechanics of this, right? Because timing is everything.
Oh, absolutely. You have to wait for the breath. Everyone breathes. You wait for that little natural pause.
And then?
Here's a pro tip from the research. Use the person's name.
John, do you mind if I jump in?
Why the name?
People are just hardwired to stop and listen when they hear their name. It cuts through the noise, and it also softens the blow because it makes it personal, in a good way. It's attentive, not aggressive.
And they mentioned visual cues, too. Right. Just raising a hand slightly, not like you're back in school, but just a small gesture or leaning forward. It signals your intent. It says, I'm engaged, not I'm rude.
Okay, so that's the meeting room. Let's move to the sidewalk. Scenario B. Getting a stranger's attention or moving through a crowd. This seems simple, but I think this is where that sorry reflex is the strongest.
This is where we see the most confusion, especially between, say, British and American English speakers. But there's a golden rule that simplifies it beautifully.
The before versus after rule.
It's so clean. You break it down.
Okay, so, excuse me, is for before you disturb someone, you want to get past them, you want to ask a question, you say, excuse me. Sorry, is for after something bad has already happened, like you actually stepped on their toe.
Exactly. If you say sorry before you've done anything, you're basically pre-apologizing for an offense that hasn't even happened yet.
It's like you're assuming your very presence is going to be an annoyance.
Which is that low status signal again. Now, there is a nuance here with pardon me. In the UK, you might hear pardon me or just sorry to ask someone to repeat something. But in the US, pardon me can sound a little
stiff.
A little stiff, a little Downton Abbey.
Yeah, if I turned to someone in a grocery store in Ohio and said, pardon me, they might think I'm trying to sell them mustard.
Right. It just puts a bit of distance there. So, excuse me is usually your safest bet in the US for getting a mention. It's neutral, polite.
But what about those minor physical bumps? You brush someone's arm on the subway? Sorry, feels too heavy. But saying nothing is rude.
Yeah, this is where the casual alternatives come in. The oops hierarchy, you can use my bad, oops, or whoops.
My bad is a classic.
It acknowledges the accident without turning it into a tragedy. It keeps the status equal. You're not bowing down. You're just, acknowledging a glitch in the matrix.
Okay, let's get to the heavy hitter. Scenario C, the workplace. This is where the chronic over-apologizers really suffer.
And where it can actually cost them money and promotions.
Yeah. So you're late to a meeting, or you made a typo in a report. That impulse to say, I'm so sorry, is just overwhelming. I feel like if I don't say it, I look arrogant.
That's the fear. But the research suggests that by over-apologizing, you don't look humble, you look incompetent. And this is where we need to introduce the gratitude flip.
The gratitude flip. This was all over the sources. Explain how this works in practice.
The core idea is swapping sorry for thank you. It just completely changes the focus of the interaction.
Okay, give us the classic example. You're 5 minutes late to a Zoom call. We've all been there.
The old way is to rush in, all breathless, saying, I'm so sorry, I'm late, the traffic, my alarm.
You're just listing excuses.
And you're focusing everyone's attention on your failure. You're starting the meeting on a negative note. You are the problem.
Okay, so what's the gratitude flip version?
You get on the call, you take a breath, and you say, thank you for waiting.
Thank you for waiting.
Yeah. Think about what that does. You shift the focus from your lateness to their patience. You are literally complimenting them for being good people who waited for you.
That's a bit of a Jedi mind trick, isn't it?
It is. You turn a negative into a positive. And it works for small errors, too. Let's say you send a draft with a typo and a colleague points it out.
My instinct is, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot.
Don't say that. Just say, thank you for catching that. Or thanks for pointing that out.
It makes you look coachable instead of incompetent.
It implies partnership. We're working together to make this perfect, not I'm a screw-up who needs you to correct them.
Yeah.
It maintains your professional standing.
Yeah, I have to play devil's advocate again. The sources did have a warning about this. You can't just thank you your way out of everything.
Absolutely not. There is a line, a very clear line.
If I accidentally delete the entire company client database and I walk into my boss's office and say, thanks for your patience, I'm getting fired.
You're getting fired on the spot. It would sound incredibly arrogant and just dismissive. The gratitude flip is for inconveniences, for minor errors, not for disasters.
So what's the high status move when you've actually messed up big time? When sorry isn't enough, but thank you is just wrong.
You take ownership. The sources suggest the phrase, I take full responsibility.
Oh, that's heavy.
It is, but it commands respect. Or the idiom, the buck stops with me.
It just stops that whole swirl of excuses.
And then, and this is critical, you pivot immediately to the solution. I understand the mistake, I take full responsibility, and here is how I'm going to fix it. You don't dwell on the guilt. You focus on the repair.
That is the definition of leadership communication.
Right.
Leaders fix things. They don't just feel bad about them.
Exactly. It's solution-oriented, not emotion-oriented.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on something about tone, because you can use all the right words and still sound totally wrong.
Or sound like you mean the exact opposite.
Yes.
In British English especially, but it bleeds into corporate culture everywhere. Tone does a lot of heavy lifting.
Like the phrase, that's interesting.
If you hear, that's interesting, said with a flat tone in a boardroom, it almost never means, I am intrigued. It usually means, that is nonsense, or I completely disagree.
It's code.
It is. Just like, with all due respect.
Which usually means you're about to show zero respect.
Right. So the lesson there is just to be aware that words can be code. But let's bring it back to that New York Times piece on apologizing, because I don't want anyone to think we're saying you should never apologize.
Right. We aren't trying to create a world of narcissists who never say sorry.
No. The whole goal is to keep sorry sacred. Save it for when you have actually caused harm.
And when you do use it, how should you use it? Because saying, I'm sorry if you felt hurt, is maybe the worst thing you can say.
The dreaded non-apology. Never use the word if questions the reality of the other person's feelings. It's like you're saying the problem is their reaction, not your action.
What's the right way?
Use strong I statements. Don't say, I want to apologize. That's weak. Just say, I apologize. And be specific. I apologize for losing the file. Not, I apologize for whatever happened.
Own the specific action.
Own the action. And then, just like in the workplace scenario, pivot to the repair. I apologize for losing the file. I've already contacted IT to see if it can be restored.
That feels complete. It feels like closure.
It respects the other person. It shows you're taking it seriously. It's the difference between I feel bad and I'm making this right.
So we've covered a lot of ground. From the grocery store to the boardroom. Let's try to summarize this into a quick cheat sheet for everyone listening.
Okay, let's call it the confidence upgrade. 3 main shifts.
Shift number 1, the interruption.
Stop saying sorry to interrupt. Start saying, may I add something? Or, do you mind if I jump in? Frame it as a contribution, not a distraction.
Shift number 2, getting attention.
Use that before versus after rule. Is for before anything happens. Say sorry for after you've actually stepped on a toe.
And shift number 3, the workplace flip.
Replace sorry I'm late with thank you for waiting. Replace sorry for the error with thanks for the feedback. Pivot to gratitude. But remember, if you really broke it, you have to own it.
I love it. It's so actionable. And speaking of actionable, there was a challenge proposed that I think we should throw out to our listener.
The 7-day no apology challenge.
What are the rules? Is it literally just don't say sorry?
Not exactly. The rule is, for 1 week, just track how many times you say sorry, count them, keep a note on your phone, and for each one, ask yourself, was this for an actual mistake where I caused real harm, or was it just for existing? Was it just filler?
I have a feeling a lot of us are going to be shocked by that number. I bet I say it 20 times a day without even noticing.
I think most people do. And the goal isn't to become rude. The goal is to become intentional.
That's the key. You don't need to apologize for taking up space. You're allowed to be here. You are allowed to speak.
And your ideas deserve to be heard without a little disclaimer attached to the front of them. So true. Go try that gratitude flip today and just see how the energy in the room changes. Thanks for diving in with us.
Thanks for listening.